Oops. Hello. How is everyone? How
Doing
are you?
well. Can you hear me
The
good?
Burning Dark. Yeah, I can hear you good, mate.
Good. Okay. The wife and I have recently moved into a new home, and I haven't had time to set up my podcast room. So this is kind of a quick setup. So I just wanted to make sure I had everything all right, and the mic was coming in. I know, man. You got the perfect podcast room, man.
I know. I got the style going on. So, how are you, the Burning Duck?
Man, I'm doing good. I got to say, moving me up a half hour was a push because with the time difference, it's a little early in the morning for me. Made me miss my breakfast. I was going to have breakfast before this. Us big guys like to eat, man, but sometimes you just got to soldier through.
You'll get rewarded. You'll build your appetite, and you'll enjoy your food so much more after you have to have a little discussion with oneself. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll get into more intro stuff in a minute. Thank you, Whale Miner. Who is Burning Dark? Well, we'll answer that question very, very soon. And sick of getting scammed. Yes, well, I've mentioned that to the Burning Duck. We're not really going to go into too much depth on what's going on at the moment within our own community, and not the calf community, but I mean the Seifu community. But that's okay. We'll go. But thank you, Seifu Dad, for joining us. It's awesome. We absolutely understand what you mean. Yes, we're going well. Gino, thank you very much, Gino. I understand you're under a lot of stress at the moment, but thank you very much for joining us here, mate. Miss Love, glad you're unbanned now from that Discord. So, well, you should be. So you should be right now. So thank you very much for joining us. And Jason, thank you very much for being here. And no, you didn't win. We haven't had a draw, so he's talking about a weekly draw that we do for our NFT draws and the win calf token. And his little phrase is like, "Did I win? Did I win?" And it's like, yeah.
Instead of win, moon, did I win?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Absolutely, Miss Love. Yes, there's a huge announcement that I'm going to make soon about calf token. I getting really close to being able. It's kind of like it is sealed in concrete. This is what's going to happen. So some of it. Oh yes, Keith the Crypto Farmer has joined us. Thank you to myself. Yep, that's awesome. Hey dudes. Oh geez. J Minor Threat. Well. At least you say, hey, dudes, I don't want to be threatened, but yeah, it's awesome. Thank you very much. I've never seen your name here, so thank you very much for joining up. El Nanny, of course, thank you very much for your support too. Right, now let's get into it. The Burning Dark. What is it about you?
Yes.
Did you want to give a bit of a highlight to what you are, who you are, what you do, that sort of stuff?
Man, I'm just a guy that's been around in DeFi for a while. I've been involved in quite a few different projects. Some of them were projects that going into, I believed in the core team and what they were trying to accomplish. And in the process of moving further with that project, I started to notice that they weren't really valid in what they were trying to accomplish over the long term, and I pulled out of them, and eventually they ended up being rug pulls. And then I started basically just watching around the community and seeing all the different projects out there and finding different ways to find tells for potential rug pulls and things like that. And more than anything, teaching myself how to avoid investing in something that was going to end up going down the poop chute, so to speak. I even got involved in some DeFi advertising for a while, and believe it or not, I got rugged with my DeFi advertising company. I mean, I've been rugged in so many different aspects. I started an NFT advertising venture once with a gentleman, and he rugged me. it's just a very, very scary world out there when you're going into business with people that you're talking to, just like this via Discord or Telegram, and you think you have a good relationship with people and you think you can trust people. And once the money starts coming in, it's just crazy how much money changes everybody. And, once people start making that money, man, they get a little different and they start arguing over everything. And just recently, I was reflecting with a couple buddies of mine that I've kind of been in this whole DeFi thing with from the very beginning. And I told them, so many people have told me, why don't you go out and do your own thing? Because for over 2.5 years, I've been building my name on Twitter and basically proving to people that what I say I do, right? And the trust of people out there in DeFi. And so many people have said, why don't you go ahead and start your own project? And I was like, you know what? I believe it's time that I do. And I grabbed a couple guys that I truly trust and consider friends. One of the gentlemen I've known for over 11 years. Funny thing is, he and I still have never met, but we did a veteran program together where we had a Twitter space that we ran once a week for over a year. That was to help veterans with PTSD and bring awareness to the 22 veterans that we lose in the United States every single day due to suicide. So it was kind of a self-help group for those gentlemen out there, men and women out there, I should say. And the other gentleman is he's our dev, and he was a part of a project that I was involved heavily in that ended up getting rugged. And he's cut from the same cloth, I guess you could say. He just is really tired of all the bullshit. Excuse my language, but
you're allowed to.
Good. But we're all tired of it, man. We're just real people that want to do real things and be honest and upfront with people about what we're going to try to accomplish, and then do everything we can to move forward to accomplish it. So, and I think we kind of proved that with you guys right off the bat. Our first conversation was you had some curiosity about your all's project, and I put you right in touch with our dev. And he started hammering things out for you, and is still working on stuff over the weekend for you. So
yeah, he's talking to me now. Yeah,
he's a good cat, man.
He's brilliant. Yeah, and I've spoken live. I've spoken live to this dev that you speak of, and like going forwards, like we can't really offer much at the moment because Calf is obviously a tiny project. We copped a hammering with a rug ourselves, so it happens. There's lots of ways that rugs happen. And I know that's the space in which, like, you've got your own Discord. I'll put the links in mine. I'll put you up as a friendly Discord as well. I haven't done that yet, but I'll do that. So there's a link in my Discord to go to your Discord. So people can feel free to join your Discord and see what you've got to offer, talk about different things, whatever. Because, like, seriously, our community space at the moment is just so beaten up with all of the rug pulling that's happening right now to us. Like we're riding the brunt of it right now, like live as we speak. That's what's going on, and so we're in a very tenuous position as far as the way people feel at the moment. Like they're on edge and feeling a little anxiety, and rightfully so. There's some people, especially in my community, that don't have a lot to offer in their life. They're not all glammed up with their pockets full of cash, and they rely upon these projects. I know you could say then, well, they take the risk of investing in the DeFi space, but it's like what you were saying before. You put your trust in, like, someone's face, someone talking, and you believe what they're offering is a good service or product, and you put your trust in them, and then all of a sudden at some point that trust is broken and you're left holding a bag full of nothing, and it costs you a lot of money.
Right. And I believe, at least from the investor standpoint, the investors out there are more like you and I, right? They're the hard workers, blue collar people that are looking for a way to make some extra money, right? And I've always said the thing about rug pulls that bother me the most isn't the fact that they stole the money, right? And don't get me wrong, that's a douchebag thing to do. But the worst part about a rug pull is you're actually stealing somebody's hopes and dreams, because I know some of the, especially in the earlier days, some of the rug pulls that I was involved in, it was for, to me, a substantial amount of money, right? And my wife and I had sat there and watched that money grow and grow and grow. And we talked about, you start talking about what you're going to do with that money, and you start getting excited about that money. And you really start getting your hopes up about, wow, I've made a great decision, so on and so forth. And then
a lot of people in our community have fallen for that same thing. And I don't blame them. So even I do the same thing, of course.
Yeah. And it's just, and it hurts you emotionally as much, if not more, than it does financially, right? Because, here's my wife trusting me with our funds to make an investment, and I make an investment, and we both see it doing great. And now I seem brilliant, and then they rug us and I seem like a fool, or at least I feel like a fool. And for, in the beginning, for me to be able to handle that emotional pain and, excuse me, my wife would forgive me. She's like, look, I get it. I understand. But at night when I would go to bed, I'm like, man, I was responsible for that money. I was supposed to take care of it. I was supposed to make sure that I invested properly and whatnot. And I would beat myself up over it. Right. So the emotional part of a rug pull was worse for me than the actual financial part of it. But, that's how we came up with our name, Rug Burn, because we're going after all the rugs, and it's our turn to burn them down, man. And we just want to be one project that we don't talk about anything we're doing until we're fully confident in what we're doing, and we know we're going to be able to follow through with it, so that we can be at least a beacon of hope in DeFi, where people can point to and say, hey, maybe this isn't a huge project, but nonetheless, it's a project that we know they're not going to do anything to screw us. And if a speed bump does come up, which sometimes you can't help those, right? We talked about that yesterday. You could have everything perfect in line, and then you can get attacked by bots or what have you. But as long as you're true with your community and you're like, look, we're making corrections, we're going to make sure everybody's taken care of, and you show them that you're worth putting their faith into, then to me, you have a successful project. And that's all we're trying to do.
But that's why personally with Calf, I could easily do certain things like staking pools and that a lot of DeFi projects do, right? And I personally find it quite challenging to, on paper, you go, that works really good, great for the protocol. You build up your LP or whatever it might be, and you offer these staking rewards. But also often, and believe me, I've been involved in quite a few staking rug pulls where, for one way or another, whether it's a malicious dev code, or of course an action from the people themselves, one way or another, they always fall over. And it's like, how many times, and that's why I'm always so very, very speculative about doing or offering like staking pools, as much as it might sound all bullish for the token. And you can build up all this hype and go, wow, we're offering all this stuff, and you get these massive rewards or whatever it might be. But unless it is actual proven to me that it's actually going to pay out and be as a benefit to the community, I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want to provide something which is going to cause basically the token price to drop and you essentially end up with the same money or less money. It's got to be worth it at the end of the day. And that's why there's so many things that I just don't put into Calf, because as much as it's great for the hype, but it's for the longevity, it doesn't work, because I'm going to just have to sit in front of everyone and fess up to people saying, well, that we tried that we tried that attempt at doing that staking program. It didn't work. Well, let's just move on to the next thing and suddenly try and build up this hype again to go into the next fang dangle raven hype thing of some sort of staking program and then go through the whole thing again. It's almost like a rinse and repeat. And I just don't want to do that within Calf Token. Hence, I've never done that yet, is produce something which, because as much as I've had people tell me that there's ways of doing stuff like with the treasury I have and could manipulate it where I can offer these staking rewards, then when I ask them, well, you show me how I can do that, and so it's actually beneficial to the person, it falls over every single time. Hence why it's never been done yet on my protocol. And I'm sure you've got your fair share of experience on that as well.
I do, and like I told you yesterday, I do want to have a conversation with you off the live stream, just between you and I, because I do have a couple ideas for you guys over there, and you know, just to toss around to you to see your thoughts and whatnot. But I have to know a little more about the actual business before.
It goes two ways as well, you know. Of course, it's
right,
always
absolutely.
good to have a person where you can throw ideas and test it before it actually gets put out there and look like a fool.
and that's another thing we're real big about, man. I've always implemented what I call the hand up, hand down program, right? If somebody's above you that is succeeding and doing something really good, you should be able to put your hand up to them, and they should be able to pull you up to where they are and teach you what they know. And if there's somebody below you that's still trying to learn, that is still trying to get ideas, but is really putting everything they have into it, you should be reaching down, trying to help pull them up to where you are. And as long as we're all doing that in DeFi, DeFi is growing to be a better place. But the thing is, these people that are shady don't want to take the time to help anybody, because they don't want you to learn that they're really being douchebags and they're getting ready to take everybody's money. That's one of the things that I've found out about people. If you're trying to communicate with them and they're not communicating back with you, then that's the first red flag. It's just no bueno. It's a bad deal. I've been fortunate enough to talk to a lot of really good people in DeFi, and they've been really educational to me. And like I said, that's a real determining factor as to who's real and who's not, who's really building stuff for the benefit of DeFi and who's really doing it just to try and put money in their pocket. There's a difference between it, because DeFi, I fell in love with DeFi when I realized what DeFi could do to help the people around me. Not so much what DeFi could do to help me as an individual, but I'm very big into raising money for different nonprofits and things like that. We're actually getting ready. We're gearing up for to do a big spaces to raise funds for anti-child trafficking, to make a donation to an anti-child trafficking program, and I'm trying to get a bunch of projects involved in it. But you know, I like to give back and give to people that are, I don't want to say less fortunate, just having a more difficult time than I am. But the crazy thing is, and one thing a community doesn't understand, is how much math is involved in figuring out the right way to do a project. Because like you said, it could look perfect on paper. And you could say, okay, you know, we're going to stake this for this amount of time, and, you know, you're going to get this type of reflection from that benefit. But when you actually implement it, and the gas changes and this changes, and all of a sudden, you know, everything starts to change just by fractional amounts, it gets real difficult to break even at the end. And it makes you look like an asshole, because the math just gets funny on all this stuff. So it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to keep up with. So one thing we're trying to do over at Rugburn is we're constantly running formulas. We're constantly doing dummy programs on things to see how it's going to come out in the end before we bring anything out to anybody. So, I mean, we have a NFT project that's going to be a part of gamification, And we have a token coming out that's going to be wrapped into all of that together. So it's very complex procedure. So we're just taking a whole lot of time before we even really start talking about it.
Yeah, no, it's like I just see it so often where CEOs are doing actions which is for the short-term hype, because there's so much pressure to get things released within the space, trying to keep up the hype cycle and trying to build and keep it going. And when you get CEOs that are always chasing the hype and trying to step it up to the next thing and setting them, trying to keep the community all geared up. We're doing all this and then we're going to do this and so on. And that's exactly what was said here. It ends up turning into a Ponzi where, if you can't keep the momentum going, which inevitably it's not going to, and you have to rely on the foundation of your project, it all is like a house of cards. It falls down. And that's where your little projects that you might be doing within your big project all fall apart and it just becomes unstable. And for a project like mine, where it's just essentially me, and yeah, I've got some help with some people talking on Discord or whatever, friends which are here in the chat, like Jason and Miss Love, do a lot of time on my Discord to help, even though lately it's really quiet. But they offer a lot of help. But at the end of the day, the project is now just me. And the last thing I want to be doing is fighting off, FUD attacks from there or from there. I mean, just, things that are not quite right within the part of the project, like for me, it has to be absolutely bulletproof 100% that it's going to be bloody good before I can even go, yep, no worries, I'm going to do that. Because I just don't want to have to deal with all the fallout. Like you said, it just gets too damn hard. And for a team like myself, the last thing I want to do is to deal with that.
Well, I mean, yeah. Also, another thing people don't realize is how much time is involved in creating something, right? I mean, you're out there every day still doing the job that you have to do. And in any spare time that you have, you're dealing with your community, making sure you stay in contact with them, making sure you, keep up the rapport with your community, as well as trying to fix any problems that are coming up. I mean, sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day. If you're not willing to sacrifice,
to you the other day when it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was at my time,
right?
And talking to you,
yeah, if you're not willing to sacrifice pretty much any and all personal time that you have, then you really shouldn't be involved in a project. It's just the way it is. I mean, there for a while, in the course of a day, I was talking to people from Australia, Ireland, and Thailand, right? And the time difference in all of those is like, you guys are 12 hours ahead. Ireland, I believe, is 4 hours ahead. Thailand, I believe, is 8 hours ahead. So trying to coordinate all these conversations and make sure that I was able to have conversations with the people I needed to have conversations with. I was either up till the wee hours in the morning or, it's just basically what I did is I slept when I started to fall asleep. So
normally I have 2 sleeps a day because we get, with where we live in Western Australia, there's a time slot in like the afternoon where the world goes quiet, sort of around 2, 3, 4 o'clock in our afternoon. That's like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning your time. And that's why, like, I can sneak in some hours of sleep there, and then I'm normally up until like midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I can get to sleep after that. But that's when it really starts happening in the space. But usually I can get all my meetings out of the way prior to about midnight-ish or a bit later. But yeah, that's exactly how it works in this space. And yet no one, like, you seriously just would not understand how much stuff is going on in the background and what seems like for very little or no results. Because one day I'll put something out there and there's been a lot of hours put in the background to make sure it's right, because you got to filter through all of this shit to get to that one thing. And it's just so difficult. Thank you for joining Whale Miner. And Whale Miner is actually a miner who is very, very experienced in the crypto industry. He joins me a lot, or every time on live stream, so many days a week, and has a very broad, in-depth knowledge of the crypto space. And so when he says what he says there, you can take that as being, obviously within reason, gospel.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
7 years in the business. I'd love to talk to him about the underground mining project that I had in mind with using solar power to run it, because I've never set up a mining rig, but I've always heard the biggest problem is heat and the amount of electricity that it uses.
That's why he lives in a really cold place at the bottom tip of New Zealand, where it's close to Antarctica, you see. So
he has no problem with that then.
So he can keep him cold. So, but by all means, I'm sure we'll be doing this many more times. We'll find out when the live stream's finished, but I'm sure this will happen more often, and we'll be Whale Miner's always here. And of course, you can get contact through Whale Miner, and if he chooses to do so, and for sure, of course, the community's free and open to, if they choose to have conversations. But it is very hard on the mental state in this space where there is just what might seem, and this is the thing that really heartbreaks your mind so much, well, what I find is that you put a lot of trust, and you really, like, for me with the Seifu thing, was that it originally started on the 1st of April, which happened to be April Fool's Day, so who's the fool? That's what it comes back to. But I had a dusting airdrop because I was a holder of Titano. And so I looked in my wallet and I found this Seifu. And so I looked up their website, and, I got sucked into the quality, what looked like quality bullshit talk. And I had a lot of medical conditions, and I was very vulnerable at the time. So unfortunately I just got sucked into it, and it's just the way it is. A lot of people in the space are vulnerable, even though they're dealing crypto. It's almost like it's, for a lot of people in the space, it's almost like a last way of doing something because their bodies are failing or whatever it might be. And so it's sort of like, I can use a little bit of money to make money, rather than use my back or my legs or arms. And they put their trust in people. But what happens is that after a period of time, they find out that in the crypto space, because it's mostly unregulated, so many things can change from management and turn it into something other than what you got invested into. And what they find with the Seifu community at the moment, because we're all got our tokens locked away in a sacrifice period for the blockchain, essentially, all of us here who have so-called Vulcan coins, we don't get to see them. And even when we do, it's such a tiny percentage, 0.25% for the first month and so on for the vesting period, that, it's just so manipulated to being against our favor. But none of that was part of the original deal. So, it's all changed after you've made that what you believed was an investment. And that's what happens within, like, I really feel that that's a integrity knock that CEOs put on themselves, is when they change a protocol from what it was to what it is now, and it's seemingly in the favor of them and not you. All too often that happens, and then people end up finding that their returns are either worthless or pointless, and so they end up walking away from what they've got, and then they can essentially do a rug pull once the community is weakened, and it just becomes just it's just another rug pull. Yet they've got themselves, however many $1 million, and people have got nothing, and it just keeps on, you know, knocking people so hard. And yeah, it's just such a difficult space.
You know, DeFi isn't so different than real life. You know, in
No.
DeFi, the rich get richer. If you have the money to, you know, put up a great website, look like you have a bunch of people on your core team, you know, put together a whole bunch of videos. You know, all this costs money to do, right? It's not cheap to do advertising and in DeFi, promotions in DeFi. It's not inexpensive at all. So it takes a lot of startup in the money in the beginning to look like you really already have a huge project going on, which is why people gravitate to that, because they trust the fact that, okay, these people are putting their own money into it. Well, you know, it's just like high risk, high reward for us. It's high risk, high reward for them as well. You know, they're trusting that putting up this $100,000, $200,000 in the beginning is going to suck everybody in, and it's going to make it so much easier for them to get a mass amount of money. Where smaller projects like us, you know, we don't have a ton of money to put into it. So it's hard to get the attention of people. Right. It's hard because they're looking at it and they're like, man, you know, this is just a group of guys that's trying to make some money and scam everybody and get out. So it's a difficult process. But I know from being in the advertising aspect of it, as far as making a blockchain, I know probably 2 or 3 developing teams that I could call on the phone right now. And if you had $200,000, they could have you a blockchain complete and hand it over to you in 3 months' time. You know, so for projects to say, you know, hey, we're building a blockchain, and a month goes by and 2 months goes by, and they're still talking about, you know, how much longer it's going to be, and we're hoping to come out at the end of the year or whatever. That just tells you they didn't have the money to do it. And either that or they're lying to you about what they're actually doing, because a good dev team could have a blockchain done in a matter of 3 months. A good dev team could build you a completely awesome NFT platform in the matter of a month. You know, with Military Vet Network, we were working with a token that was going to build a NFT platform for us. Military Vet Network is a company that I'm the COO of, and it's another project that I do to help veterans here in the States. And this token was going to build an NFT platform for us, and we paid them $10,000 as a retainer. And when it was complete, we are going to give them another $15,000, plus they were going to own a percentage of the platform for X amount of time, and so on and so forth. Well, that was almost 18 months ago. And we started asking for the money back about 5 months ago, and we still haven't got a dime of it yet. So, you know, like I said, there's multiple ways to get rug pulled. Even as a project, when you're trying to build something to help people out, you can get rug pulled. So,
it's just like, it doesn't matter where you are in the spectrum, whether you're on the, you know, the mining side, the day trader side, the CEO side, project side. We all cop it. You know, everyone there's so many risks in this space. It's just unbelievable. And when I got rug pulled with Calf, and now I presented it as MultiDAO, which was the company that did it, there were so many in not in the Calf community, but in the Seifu community, and I'm talking influencers and that were absolutely bagging on me that I was telling lies and bullshitting and that. And then who's in the headlines at the moment? Guess what? MultiDAO, because they've been caught out for doing all this rugging shit. And it was like, you know, like, I'm fucking telling you this shit. Like, that's what actually happened. The Calf community were magnificent about it. That's why I never showed you the video of that one, but you'd see my YouTube, where it's me explaining what happened, you know, basically the day after, I think, that it all went down. And, you know, like, I named names like MultiDAO and whatever. And, you know, like, it's even at that point, people, influencers were making up, you know, had their own narratives and agendas that they were grinding. And it was like to the detriment of the Calf community. and obviously to myself. And yet I was presenting the facts as it happened, and they wouldn't accept that. And I was like, what the fuck are you meant to do as a project owner than fess up to exactly the name and place and all the rest of it? And then it's now, 3 months later or 2 months later or whatever, and yeah, they're in the headlines for all this scamming shit that company's been doing. And so I fucking told you so.
Right. And if a project won't take the time to answer the questions that the community has and be fully transparent, that's another huge red flag, because I've seen so many projects out there where the community is like screaming to have a question answered. They're like, what's going on with this? And
we're going through that at the moment.
Yeah.
We're going through that right now.
They come back with these just blasé fucking answers of saying stuff like, well, we don't have the time to address that. You just need to trust the process and what we're doing. No, we're not here to trust the process. Let me tell you,
sound familiar,
it does not take that much time to give an explanation for what's going on with the project. It really doesn't. I've been involved in enough of them, and I know it doesn't take that much time at all. This is some of the arguments I've had with some of the other projects that I knew were starting to really turn into garbage projects. And I saw down the horizon what they were planning on doing, and I jumped ship. I tried to warn everybody. And here's what they do, right? When you jump ship and you tell everybody, look, man, I could see the writing on the wall. This is happening. This is happening. This is happening. Get out of it now while you can. They immediately turn the community on you and make you look like a douchebag. They start saying things about you, and the whole community turns on you. And now you're just left out on this island by yourself, where you're like, fine, I did what I could. I tried to warn everybody. If they don't want to heed the warning, if they think I'm being petty, that's their business. They get to make that decision. But I've done everything I could to let everybody know. But what I was saying in the beginning is, it's not difficult at all to show your community when, you go on a deck scan or whatever. Explain to them what every single wallet that they're looking at is, and be very transparent about it. That's not difficult to do at all. And as long as you let them know that there's a reason for this wallet to be this much and what you're using those funds for. I mean, we plan on being so transparent that when we get to a point to where we're advertising and things like that, we're going to let people know, hey, we paid X amount to XYZ advertising, and that's where that money went. And we paid this amount to this person over here, and that's where that money went. I mean, basically, we're going to have open books, and you're going to be able to see where every dime that we spent somewhere went to, and also know what we're trying to do and trying to build in the future. We're just trying to be as transparent, as open as anyone possibly can be. And we feel like, there's a reward for that. We feel like that's what a community wants to see, and that's how a project should be ran. But you have these communities out there that are going, as an investor in Tesla, you don't get to ask Elon Musk what he's doing with their money, right? Well, no, you don't, but we're not Tesla, dude. I mean, people act like they're these big businesses, and they're really not, man. There's very few projects in DeFi that are really so big that they don't have time to address their community. And here's the thing, if they are that big, they have the money to pay people to address the community and answer the questions for them. So there's really no excuse not to be involved with your community and be honest with them. There's just no excuse, in my opinion.
It's just so ironic because, I've only alluded to what's been happening to us at the moment. I've never actually, and I want to let the community know, I've never actually spoken to the Burning Duck about exactly what's been going on within our community. So then you would come on here because I know you're been, like with rug burn and whatever, you're specific about rug stuff. And I wanted you to come in here with a clear perspective on being able to express your opinion that's not biased. And what you were just saying there was just, you've absolutely hit the nail on the head to everything we are going through right now within our community, not the calf community, but through the Seifu Vulcan community, right? Now, I want to show you, you haven't seen this yet, but you were talking about treasury wallets and stuff like that. I'll just quickly bring up my own website, which shows the wallets. So this is a treasury section of the calf token, and this is now out of date because the Vulcan blockchain. You know, obviously, you know, the Vulcan thing's just what it is. But this is live feeds from the wallets. So this is a prize fund wallet, and
it's a really solid website, by the way.
Yeah, well, this is. I've got a friend who was doing this, but we bought just the template, and he's really good at doing this sort of stuff. So all it's cost me is some calf token to donate to him, which I've done out of my own funds to help him to get him to develop this for us. But he's really good, and he knows how to put in the information to do the live feeds from the blockchain to be able to get these amounts. So this is actually what's in the wallets at the moment, and then you got a development team wallet.
I absolutely love nerds, and like I told you yesterday, that's I use that word as such a compliment because I'm envious of people who are intelligent and that know how to do all this, because it's just not my wheelhouse. And
I can't do it either.
And I always stay in my lane, right? Like when you talk to our dev yesterday and said, you know, hey, maybe you could come on the show. What'd he say? The first thing he said was like, no, Duck's the guy to have on the show. You know, I'm the dev guy.
I know they just talk that complete different language. Oh, bloody hell. Like, no one knows devs until you talk to a dev, man. They just like, they're
a different breed, man.
They are different way of
very,
talking.
very different breed.
And then they talk to you, and all of a sudden, conversation over, and it's like, what? Like, it's so far out, man. Okay.
I love the fact that when you're talking to a dev, they're talking to you like you fully understand everything they're saying, and it's just like so second nature to them. But I always tell my guy, I'm like, look, man, you got to duck it down, dude. You got to dumb it down. Speak to me like you're literally talking to a duck. I mean, put it in as simple form as you can, because, you know, I've never tried to act like I'm a dev, or I mean, I can trace wallets back. I could follow wallets. I could do all that type of very simple stuff. Crazy. But when it comes to writing code, reading code in depth, no, that's what I have him for.
and so, by the way, everyone, this is the nerd on the dev we're talking about.
Revenge of the Nerds. That's right.
Yeah. So if you're wondering who that is actually the developer that's in the messages. So now you're aware where that is popping up from. I don't know how he spares the time though just to watch our show. Like, anyway. I reckon he must be multitasking, because they're able to, you know, do all this complex programming shit over here and then listen to shit going on over there and still get the codes right. It's like, okay.
Yeah, but like I told you yesterday, man, I mean, code to dev is like crack to a crack addict. If they're not coding something, they start to twitch and get weird. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times he hits me up on Telegram and he's like, Doc, I'm bored over here. You have to give me something. And, you know, like I think he told you yesterday, you know, he's worked on a swap for our token, and he's already changed it twice, and we haven't even put our token out yet. He's changed the graphics on it or something just to keep himself busy. Right. Yeah. Because, like I told
you, that's what devs fall into, though. They always find something to keep them busy. And at some point, you just got to say, fuck it, we're releasing it now. You can't change it anymore. Because they forever always want to change shit. And it's like, no, we're fucking doing it. Stop bloody changing stuff.
Well, I think, like I told you yesterday, and I've kind of alluded to in this conversation, is, you know, regardless of how excited you are as an individual to put out your project or what you're working on, the biggest thing I've learned is slow is fast. You know, just like they always say that in the military, slow is fast. And that's definitely the approach that we're taking. I mean, yes, behind closed doors, we're all wicked excited about what we're doing, but it continues to evolve as we take our time to make sure that it's going to be what we perceive as the best thing that we can possibly offer to our community at this time. And even after we put out the first part of it, that's not going to be the end part of it. That's just the beginning of the evolution of what we're doing. It's going to continue to build and grow and hopefully continue to get better as we get more and more people involved in the community. But the last thing we want to do is try and put something out that we aren't fully confident in, and we aren't really comfortable with exactly how everything works on the back end, because it's a very complex procedure to put out a good project. I mean, it's easy to talk about, and from a layman's standpoint, you think it should just be a matter of a couple keystrokes and things like that, but it's not. It's hours and hours and hours of complex work that can be grueling, and you really do have to have a love for it to be any bit successful, because you have to sacrifice so much on the backside to put together a good project. And I thank my wife every day for the sacrifices that she makes, because you lose a lot of time with your family as well to be able to be successful at this. And thankfully I have a woman that really supports everything that I do. And she's even built me up in times where I began to lose my own confidence, and she's like, no, don't quit. That's not who you are. So that's kind of one of the things that you have to have. But right now, one of the things I'm most excited about is having some off-camera conversations about ideas that I have for you guys over there, just to see what you think. And, I love working sideways and helping people around me. I just think that's one of the, like I said in the beginning, that's one of the great things about DeFi. Peter, good night, brother. Take care. No nightmares. No, sorry. Sorry that you ended your night staring at me, man.
I'm just sorry that we've got to go through all the rug shit that, like obviously Peter's involved in that as well. And yeah, it's just not much we can, obviously there's nothing we can do about it. It's just what it is. But yeah, it's obviously we've had better days. Nothing to do with Calf, but I mean on the other side as an investor side. So yeah.
And like you said in the beginning, I fully don't know what's going on over there. I really don't know.
No. I haven't bored you with it.
You guys are involved in, and it sounds like a huge bag of dicks, and like it sucks horribly, which I'm sure it does.
We're talking like a $40-odd million drain.
But
so talking some decent money, because they're talking like 40 million, something like that. So yeah, talking decent money. So it's not just piss in the wind. It's serious. It's not just a little tiny thing. It's a big thing.
Again, I don't understand, because if you have $40 million of a whole bunch of people's money, how can you not build something wonderful that's going to benefit everybody, and you still make money? I just don't understand that aspect of it.
I know, but the problem is that someone that wants to live on that side and do things that aren't straight, for whatever reason, even when they've got the everything laid out in front of them, for whatever reason, they've just got to stay on that side of the road and just keep doing the bad shit all the time. It's just like I'm sure psychologists have an explanation for it, but it's some sort of compulsive disorder that they have, where they just can't walk on the right side of the street. They've always got to be on the shit side, doing all this shit stuff to people. And that seems to be where they get their endorphin flows, and they feel happiest when they're like got a win over someone or something. And it's just like a lot of things that we've seen in our space is, hey, have a look over here while he's fucking rugging you over here. And of course, I'm the one that's been over here as the distractant, because they throw mud at me for shit that I've done. Even, like it was like that rug pulling that happened to Calf. And, like I was saying, it was multi-DAO and that. And like I've gone through that already, like, fuck's sake.
But Keith, look,
yeah, they use it as a distraction, and it's just so annoying.
Let's me and you play out the life of one of these individuals. Okay, let's say theoretically tomorrow you and I have access to $40 million. We're in a project together. Who cares what title is what, but you and I have access to $40 million. We have a conversation behind closed doors, and we're like, let's rug the whole thing. We can get away with it, and nobody will ever be able to find us, catch us, whatever. We rug them, we split it. We got 20 million each. What do you do with it, right? You go out, you buy a house, you buy land, whatever. But every single night when you go to bed, the house you're living in is off
Yeah, I know.
the backs of people
Yep.
that you stole from. You
I
know,
know.
if you go on a vacation to make yourself feel better, you still, no matter where you are, if you're looking out at the
Yep.
mountains, if you're looking out at the friggin' ocean, it doesn't matter. When you see that, you have to see the people that you stole from. How do you live with
Yep.
yourself? That's the question I want to know. That's the answer I want. How do you do that for the rest of your life? Because it may feel great in the first half hour of it. You may get this
Yep.
big onrush of adrenaline and what have you, but you have to live out your days with that money, knowing every penny you spent, you stole from somebody, and you took from somebody's family. You took food off somebody's table. Somebody needed that money to pay the electric bill, and you're using it to go on a friggin' ski trip in the Alps or whatever. Right. You know, somebody's mortgage is, you know, their house is getting fucking taken away from them. I mean,
whatever.
I just don't understand how people have the mental capacity to live with that for the rest of their life. It just does it angers me. It gets me upset.
It's just sick. That's what it is. It's just fucking sick how people do that shit. And I can stand here without being a hypocrite, and I can say that because, like, there's been a few times through the calf fiasco that seriously I just felt like giving up. And I've spoken to Jason about it, that I really just feel like fucking just going, I've had enough. I'm just fucking sick of it. But I can't do that to the investors, to people that have exactly that. They're you know, they're scrounged up to invest in me, and you know, like in my project, my thing, which is obviously for the cause, for animal ethics and stuff. And I, you know, like these people entrusted me, and so when you look at it like that, there's no way I could ever let people down, and that's why, like, I'll move heaven and earth. I did everything I could, and I did it, and I got a new contract built and delivered for the people. Wow, you're good at doing the cloaking device there, and get it out there to the people. And you know, like it's some people in the community sort of even have difficulties even when a CEO does the actions that I did, which was, you know, the right thing to do. But you know, that's their own call. They're allowed to have that opinion. Like I'm not. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, he said they just sold another 640 B&B, and you probably saw me grab my phone because I wanted to see what the current price of B&B was. That's another almost $150,000 right there.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah. I think there's only about $110,000 left or something. Someone can correct me, but yeah, there's not that much left. So, but that's all going to Gate.io. So it's just a way out. But you know, I know that's right. It is. I don't know so much, like all of it is an enjoyment. Like it certainly tests you. And, you know, like I can see you've obviously had your fair share because you've gone a bit more grayer than myself. But, you know,
yeah,
it's certainly not stress-free. But my biggest stresses is just like for myself, I'll deal with whatever I've got to deal with for myself. But the thing that stresses me the most is letting people down that have invested money in my project. And I'm not just saying that to the people watching and, you know, filling them all up full of hot air. The thing is that is my passion, is to help, to be here, to get through, to develop, or whatever I got to do to make sure that not only the cause for the calves is right, but also the investors that invest into that is right. And that might be my biggest downfall. I don't know. You know, maybe I should just be a fucking scammer and make all these millions and then just send it out to these people that have decided to invest in calf now, and we all live happy days. You know, I could share that 40 million around, and we'll all be doing pretty good, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it feels like it would be easier to do, right? And
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it actually would be easier.
It does make it easy.
It's not about being easy. It's about doing right. So
yeah,
let me ask you, what is your favorite thing about DeFi? What's the one thing you love most about being involved in all of this?
That I can do an element of good with it. Like that's why I set up Cause of the Calves, because I know that I can use the protocol to give something back to the animal kingdom. Like I'm not an animal protectionist by any stretch. Like we rear calves, they end up most likely, they're heifers are dairy cows, and the steers will end up becoming part of the food chain for beef. Like I'm not an animal protectionist, and it's funny I say that. I'll show you something to go along with that. What you're just saying, just watch this for a second. I wasn't going to do this, but I'll show it. I'll go backwards to the beginning, but like he's a Frisian dairy steer, and like I'm really bad. That's today. That was this morning out. Like my passion is to at least be able to give something back to the world. Like I know that the climate changes, people say that we're doing bad shit or whatever. I don't give a fuck about that. We can't all just be combating whatever you want to combat. We've all got our own thing that we want to do. And what I want to do is to help the animal side of stuff for as long as I'm able to walk. I'm having trouble walking and doing this stuff. That's why you see in the video I'm 49 and I'm walking around like I'm 80 because I'm all buggered up from doing this shit. But I haven't stopped, but that's where my passion lies with DeFi, where I see that there is opportunities to at least offer something back to humanity. So that was a long answer to your short question, but hopefully that helps. Yeah, take care, Jason. Thank you very much. He's a couple of hours in front of us, so it's midnight there. So thank you very much, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Jason Hayes. Thank you. You're not late. It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, I was telling my guys yesterday, I couldn't be an animal farmer of any type because I'd end up falling. It wouldn't matter what it was. I'd fall in love with it, and I could never follow through with having the process of having to, send it to the slaughter or what have you, which thank God that there are people out there that can, because I absolutely love, meat.
You're going to make me sound cold.
Somebody has to be the person that can do that.
Yeah. The thing is,
I really couldn't.
What makes it okay for us that we clear it within our own mind is that, because no, we don't like doing that either. But the thing that clears it in our mind is when the next calf comes along, it's got to be given a home to be reared in the best possible way that you can do it. And we can only do that by removing ones that have already had that opportunity. And so we've got to allow the big to go, the young to come in, and they all get the same privilege of life that we grant them. And so that's where we come to our own little solace in that thought.
I'm by no means am I knocking what you do. If it sounded that way,
no, of course not. No,
I was just saying.
Don't worry.
No. Somebody can do it because
I know, but that's
because
that's
it's a process that needs to happen.
That's right.
We have to.
But that's how we settle it within our own minds. Is that we've given the best chance to the calf to have its best life with medications, vitamin care, the best food, because they're only fed whole milk straight from the cow too. Like we don't use powdered milk or anything like that. It's just we get fresh whole milk that's still warm straight from the cows first thing in the morning, and when they're milking the cows, and that's what they get fed, and it's human grade milk. Like it's not antibiotic milk or anything like that. It's human grade milk, and so they are fed the best feedstuffs you can ever get. Like that is what they're fed. And that's why we have such good success with our calves, and they're in such good condition, because you fail if you don't have quality. And we've been through these hard times. We've learned, and we know what to do and what not to do. That's why I like my YouTube side, because I'm starting to do more animal husbandry stuff, which is where I have a real passion, is to teach other people how to do things. little pointers on certain drugs do certain things. And I say things that the vet won't agree with me on, because they go all this, got to use pathology and shit. And it's like, by the time you do that, everything's dead. So why do that? It's not like pathology in a hospital. So, it's, the approach that we have is a real approach. It is what it is, like it's fair dinkum, it's real. But every single life on the farm, with these new calves or whatever, like whether it's a bull that we lose money on or whether it's a heifer that we make money on, they are all treated and respected exactly the same. We don't differentiate one between the other. It's exactly the same. They'll, as much as one will get a kiss, so will the other. It's just the same. And yes, we do. Like, yes,
I'm sure if I'm a cow in Australia, I'm wanting to come live on your farm.
The farmers here say that. The old farmers that ask me for help, because I do a lot of other help as well when someone's got calf troubles, and they ask me for advice or whatever help I can offer. And of course, straight away, no worries. And they always say to me, like, when we die and we come back, we want to come back as a calf on your farm, because, they know how well they're respected and cared for. I know I sound like I'm talking myself up, but, it's all in my videos. It's what we do. And none of that is fake. Of course, I'd be doing bloody good if I could do it every day as fake. It's real as it gets. Yeah, I know we are. But we have to be, though. But, you got to have a passion. There's no way you can do what we do if you weren't able to basically deal with little kids. Like, you got to have a passion for it. Like, you get some that are naughty and some that are just ultra friendly, and it's like, oh shit, but it's great fun. But yeah, it's good. Yeah, Jason was saying nice to meet you, Duck. Sorry, I didn't.
Nice to meet you too, man. Thanks for joining in.
Jason comes on my live streams and that every now and again as well, where we hit up conversations and stuff. Is awesome. Yeah, well, I can't help with the slaughter side of stuff because, of course, that's out of our control. But I can't grow them that big anyway. We've only got a small farm, so we can only grow them to. And believe, like a lot of places, they say rearing calves where you get them off milk at like 6 weeks or 8 weeks, right? I'll tell you something. On our farm, even the bull calves that struggle to make money, but to make a good calf, you must feed them for around like 14 to 18 weeks, somewhere in that sort of bracket. All right. There's none of this 6 or 8 week rubbish. Like, I don't know how these people come up with that. And that's with giving them the best quality grain to develop their rumen, so they become able to transition to eating solid feeds a lot earlier in their life. But like we don't cut any corners. They get everything that you can possibly ever do. I know I had a calf that was named for Gino, which was Terminator. And, I had to send him away. But he got lots of love. He got all the care. As he grew up to be a big fatty. In
the end, they all get sent away, right?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, unfortunately, except for Hulk, the Frisian that you see in the picture that I showed in the video, he's actually on my NFTs. He's there.
So help me understand exactly what it is that you do, because I'm trying to process it, right? People, if I'm understanding correctly, are giving you calves to raise for a certain amount of time. You're actually taking those calves somewhere to get the milk for. And I guess that's where you're getting profit from the milking of the cows and selling that milk. And then after a certain amount of time, you have to give them back, or what? I'm just kind of confused on exactly what your play is in all of this. So help me understand. And granted, I haven't had time to watch all your videos.
I was going to say, I'll send you a video.
We started talking at like after
I know.
this time yesterday. So
yeah, I know. It was late. On one of my videos there, and I'll say the same stuff because it's what happens. Nothing ever changes. It's just the way it is. There's a video I sent you, which is the reason for the cause or something. because I sent you the medical one that I did, and then one for the reason. Yeah. Now what we do, like we obviously with me medical farmers, we'll call Chuck Norris yours then, okay, Gino? And Chuck Norris being a beef calf, he's going to hang around. But of course, you've got to put up with his name being called Chuck. So does that work for you at all, Gino? Because you'll see him grow up to be a 2-year-old if all goes well. So he'll be a full-size animal by the time he leaves. Now, what we do, we used to do like 1,000 odd calves a year, but we had to downsize because that's really, really going hard. See, at the moment, we're only doing about 300, just over 300 a year. But I had to downsize because I physically can't do it, and mentally, because this brain tumor just makes you so fatigued that, as much as I might look bright and chirpy now, it's because I've had a sleep. But there's just no way I could do that anymore. I just can't, because I can't walk that well. My arms don't work that well. I just can't do that stuff anymore. So anyway, that's beside the point. So we do about 300 calves a year from the one dairy farm. It's his dairy farm, not ours. We buy the bull calves. We give him the least amount of money as we can give him, but we offer him something to well, there you go. I'll take some extra photos for you, and I will send them. I think I've even got photos on my phone here to show you. I thought I took some photos this morning. No, that's right. We'll sort that one out. I'll get onto it.
Now, what's the benefit of buying the bull calves? Because obviously they don't produce any milk. So what's the benefit of having?
So they stay alive.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying the farmer would kill them, but we live very remote to the sale yard, right? So technically, you're not, a dairy farmer here is not allowed to euthanize their calves. Okay, that's the technical law. Okay, but if you were to say to a farmer that something is going to cost them money to deal with it, and their effort on top of that, when they've already got so much work to already do, what do you think they will do behind closed doors? It can happen, right? Like they find alternative ways of dealing with their problem, right? So the way that we do it is that we offer them a market for the calves, for the bull calves, which is say 50% of the herd roughly. And that way then on the farm, they're all treated with exactly the same respect and care. So there's no, difference to the farmer to treat a heifer to a bull calf, because they all have commercial value. Okay. It might not be a lot, but they still got commercial value. Now, then you've got to obviously feed the animal, and they get an allocation of, it ranges between 4 and 6 litres a day, but we try and hit on 5 litres a day. You've got to run that range, because when they're on the mass feeder, some teats go a bit faster than other teats, and there's always variables. So we always have an allocation of 5 litres a day to make sure they're getting, we get an allocation of milk for around 5.5 to 6 litres a day, but they get somewhere between that 4 to 6 per calf, which is a lot of milk. Normally, calf rearers will feed 4 litres of milk a day, and they will do them in individual feed so they can make sure that calf is getting the full 4 litres. But we go for more than that, because 4 litres we found wasn't enough, in our own opinion. It wasn't giving the results that we want. So when you start looking at the price of milk, which is 70 cents a litre, wholesale price is what we get, what we pay for it, and times that by 5 litres of milk, say, you've got your $3.50 odd a day in just milk cost. And then you've got an allocation of 2 kilograms of grain per day. Well, that's when they get older. And initially when they start is 1 kilo a day, and then it works up to 2 kilos a day. And the grain costs around 70 cents a kilo. So they go from 70 cents a day. So it's $4.20 a day up to $4.90 a day just in cost of doing it. And when you're rearing a calf for how many days is that? For I know it's whatever 14 to 16 weeks is in days. The other half does the paperwork, so some of the things I'm not familiar with. It's like 70 odd days or something like that. 80 days, maybe more. I don't know, whatever it is. Then, yeah, they, like if you time, say, 80 days by $4 odd a day, what's that in dollars? A lot.
Right. So what I'm hearing you say is it's
and I'll tell you the kicker.
There's no financial gain in you for
not
having
the
no.
bulls. No, but I'll tell you the kicker is that because we've only got limited land, and this is the real kicker. When you rear a calf, as a rule, they go shiny, what we call shiny, when their coats look like the big boy that you see in the picture. They go like that when they're about 6 months old. But when they're around weaning age, and that up to 6 months old, the coats are more dull and blurry. Like they've got to drop, it's like a baby coat, and they've got to drop that before they go shiny, and they go really nice black or black and white or whatever their breed is. And that's when they become more valuable, is by the shininess of their coat. And because we are selling them at that 4 to 5 month old bracket, they always, technically for age, they look their worst. So they've eaten the most expensive feedstuffs for the longest part of their life, and they technically look the worst. Or they're at that position when buyers always go, oh, I don't like the color of that one or that one. And yet, they'll be all bright and shiny in a couple of months' time. But at that point in time, it always costs you. And so they've got these little, when you buy something, you always talk it down to the person. And when you're trying to sell something, you're always talking it up. And it's the same with livestock. It's the same business where, the buyers are always trying to talk your livestock down, and you're obviously trying to talk them up. And then hopefully you meet in some sort of ground where hopefully you come out in front, but most of the time you don't. But on bull calves, there's just no money in it. The market, it went for a period of time with COVID where we had a lot of floods and stuff over the eastern states, and there was a lot of demand on livestock to go over east. And so that meant the local trade in WA could take the dairy stock, because they don't send dairy stock over east. And so we were getting good prices. But having said that, it only lasted for like 6 months, and now we're back in the doldrums again. And so on the calves, yes, we lose money on the bull calves. And that's why I set up Cause for the Calves, where on the website, on the Treasury side of the website, you'll see where revenue streams, and it's broken down into the different wallets. And one of those wallets is for the farm operations.
Because which is, if my math is correct with the figures that you gave me, you're looking at about $75,000 for if half of the herd, 150.
You are right. That's correct. That's correct. You're right.
Give me 1 second. I got to step off real quick.
But yeah, that's just the way it works, guys. And that's why I set up. I'm not having a sook or, certainly not having a cry over it, but that's the reality of what we're doing. And I know that other people knock our project, and they say, oh, like whatever it might be, the returns or whatever, but it's a refi project. It's a something project that does something. Like we're not a true DeFi project, hence why I don't do or haven't been doing staking pools and things like that, the DeFi stuff. And that's why we're in a refi environment. And that's why we're doing a major change soon to cement our place in the refi crypto space for the project, for the cause for the calves. But yeah, they essentially take from us, and hence why we're still building and living where we, in the shed. I'm not complaining about any of that, but that's the reason why we are where we are, doing what we're doing. But the position, to a degree, the medical stuff, you could say, sort of saved us, because we were doing extra bull calves, and now we do less. So that's taken the cost burden away. And so it's sort of like a win-win, you could say. But we've reduced it just down to one guy where we're dealing with the calves. But fortunately, we rear his heifers that make money. And so the heifers are good, like we make money on that. We get about $2 a day for rearing a calf. So, that helps to hedge the costs for rearing bull calves. And of course, the bull calves, when we sell them, we get back some of the costs that have been associated to it. So when you put the two together, it's not too bad. But as far as leftover or disposable money, no, there just isn't. And that's the cold, hard facts of what we do. And, but of course, it's very buoyant. It's like trading stocks. Cattle, livestock goes up in price, comes down in price, seasons change it. You name it. Whenever I've got livestock, you can guarantee everyone else does. And then the demand is low. We don't have the space to say, oh, we'll wait another month and push on, where we've got to get them turned over. It sounds callous, but the thing is, that's the space, that's the room. And like I say, you got to move them on, so then you can allow the next ones to obviously take the space, take their room.
Well, I was just asking because, like I said, I have a bunch of different ideas, and I want to make sure that I understand the process properly, and so on and so forth. Because, I'm always
any
looking
support
for a
is
way,
better than no support. Yeah. Like seriously, like at the moment, we can just keep doing what we're doing now, and I'm sure we'll be just fine because we deal with our own problems. But any support from the project is obviously what the whole idea is to help. But obviously we'll be discussing more ideas off air and whatever. But yeah, the scope of the issue is it's real. It's what it is, and that's why I present what it is to the people. And my community have been magnificent, been bloody good through the good times and the bad times. They've been bloody good. And I just can't emphasize that enough. They've been really, really good. Yeah, the day or the night when calf got rugged, okay, I was on the lounge, and then I was watching the computer, and I was working with this dev, and then suddenly it was gone. And I just watched it go, and I said to my partner, obviously I was in this world of like, what the fuck? And then I seen it gone, and I just said to her, "You're not going to believe this. I just been rugged." And all she did was come over and give me a hug. She just gave me a hug and said, "We'll be okay. We'll be okay. So what do you need to do?" And I was thinking, fuck, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then I realized, get into the contract. And I was like, oh, fuck, how do I find that shit? Any other day of the week, it's easy. It's right there. It's a shortcut.
Right,
I just press that and it brings up, and then connect the wallet. But, in the heat of the moment, it's like, oh, fuck. I'm sorry, I've got a mind blank. What the fuck do I do? What do I do? Where do I go? Oh, how do I do that? And then it took me a while to get my head together. And but fortunately, there was only 2 cells, and they were little minuscule things. So there was less than $10 that was relatively lost. So it was a nothing thing. So it was like, thank goodness for that. Before I could hit the pause button, and then it was like, oh, right, show's over. Right now, I can announce it on a Discord. Look, seriously, I've got this problem. We've just been rugged, and but the calf community have stood by us like you wouldn't believe. It's just been absolutely magnificent. All of the shit that I copped was outside of the calf community, and that's consequently the community that's getting rugged as we speak. So there you go. Rather ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, that it is. That's for sure. Well, I tell you what, I got about 5 minutes left. I have a meeting here in half an hour that I got to get together, and I would definitely like to fix myself some breakfast before that. But listen, I've loved talking to you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us
all the time, brother. Definitely, I could talk to you all the time, and we have a lot more conversations to have, and I feel like there's definitely a good future between Rug Burn and the calf community and you guys. But before we go, is there any other thing that you were just curious to know, or anything else pressing that you wanted to ask that I'd be happy to answer whatever I could for you before we go?
Absolutely. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Will you come back? Will you come back and do more live streams?
Absolutely, brother. I mean, this is
because I'm sure like everyone's in agreement. They want you back. I'm sure.
Yeah, this is in my wheelhouse, man. Like I told you, I'm getting ready to start a bunch of different podcasts. Anyway, so I'm gonna definitely have you on that podcast, because I'm gonna have different projects from DeFi, just to bring attention to all the different projects that are out there, to show all the communities the various projects that exist in DeFi. I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't aware that there's people out there like you doing things like this. So I just want to point out what all DeFi can be used for the benefit of everybody around them.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. No, I'm sure everyone is going to go away from tonight's live stream. I call it tonight because it's tonight where I am. Hopefully feeling a little bit better about the circumstances in which we find ourselves at the moment. Because obviously we're dealing with some hard times, for people's financial positions, with their liquidity getting taken away from us at the moment, and like it's not good. It hurts, and you've said some really nice words to people, so to the community. So we I'm grateful that you've done that on behalf of everyone, because I'm sure that it resonates and makes people at least hopefully feel a little bit better in some way, and that's the difference that I want to. If nothing else, for tonight's live stream, I want to make people feel a little bit better under a very stressful situation. So, and I think you've brought that to the table. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, no, you're welcome, I suppose. Like I said, we're just trying to be who we are. Right. And helping wherever we can, man, so hopefully we can find a way to help you guys out over there, to help make sure your project continues to grow, continues to stay safe, and hopefully you'll have confidence in the fact that you have a dev at your disposal, if for no other reason, can look at different contracts for you and tell you where there might be problems or issues, because
he's amazing. He's really good. Yeah,
he's a good cat, man. He is. I don't ever tell. Here's the funny thing about all of us, right? None of us ever compliment one another within our own tight-knit group. We're always kind of joking with each other and beating each other down, but we all know what each one brings to the table, and we're all really
that's right.
Grateful for everybody.
But that's when you've crossed the line and turned into mates.
Man.
We're
always just busting balls
that way with people. So,
So for me to compliment him on a live stream is really, really big. So. But he's a good cat.
His Safety Dad's on side, so that's wonderful. I'm
definitely will be back. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I've got so much going on at the moment, which is that I haven't talked to the community about yet, that they're going to be, there's going to be, there's one little feature that is going to test the community support that I haven't put out there yet. Because at the moment I'm getting actually a new contract made for a new version of Calf. I haven't told anyone yet, but and it's going to be reverting back to just a straight Calf. There's no more Calf V anything. It's just Calf. It's going to look almost identical to Calf V2, except for there's a couple of changes within the contract, but they are only beneficial changes. But you've got to go. I'll talk to my community about that. Thank you so much for your participation, and yeah, you're welcome back anytime. Absolutely, please do.
Yeah, and if you ever want me to say, like, do a space on Twitter for you and your community, so that way the community can actually be there live and ask you questions and speak through you in a Twitter space, just let me know, man. I'll be happy to host one of those with you. So
I don't know how to do that stuff, so I've got to, like, there's so much that I haven't learned yet.
That's totally my wheelhouse, brother. I can walk you through it and guide you through the whole thing, man.
I would definitely like that support for sure.
It's
that'd
definitely
be fantastic.
A good tool to use, like I said, to use with your community, because they could come into that space. Basically, you get to choose how many people come up and are able to speak at a time, so they can ask you questions directly, pretty much just like we're doing now, but it's the whole community there, right? So it's something to consider. And if you want me to help you out setting the first couple ones of those up and walking you through it, I'd be more than happy to, man.
I know we've got a lot of conversations to come. There's no doubt about that. And like, I run a space where I want to work with people, and that's why I'm very happy. I have no problems with you so-called shilling on my side of the fence, because I couldn't give a stuff about that. If people in my community find your project to be beneficial to them, then I tell them, please invest in this project if you find that it's beneficial and it's a good project. And like, I know it goes both ways. You can't just be greedy and go, oh no, it's only all for me. No, like, if people choose to, if it's good for them and their personal circumstances to do whatever they want to do, that is wonderful, and I'm all for it. So don't ever feel like you're treading on toes or anything just because you're on a calf live stream. On Monday nights, well, what I call Monday night, in 24 hours time, I do my calf live stream, which is just solely for calf, where I do a prize draw and that sort of stuff. And we actually visit the calves, and I, because I live stream during the daytime then, a little bit earlier in the day. And so we actually do, what's going on the farm and that sort of stuff. And we try and keep them short, even though they always end up being an hour long. But every other day of the week is just this sort of conversation. So, nearly every day of the week, whenever suits, you're more than welcome to join us on live stream. Chalk couldn't join us tonight because, she's feeling the stress, and rightfully so. But that's okay. We'll, there's many more nights to come. So it's
we could circle back around, man. Absolutely. I love being here, and I appreciate you having me, man. Extremely grateful for you inviting me on. So thank you very much. And tell whoever's talking to you I said hi.
it's the other half. He's saying hi. I'm being told I've got to vacate the room because we got visitors here and they need to sleep.
All right.
And they got a 5-year-old, and this is their room for the night.
Let them know I appreciate their sacrifice.
No, it's all good.
It's all good. That they sacrificed so that I could be here as well, man. So thank them as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Cheers. I'll be in touch.
All right. Quack, quack, motherfuckers. I'm the Burning Duck, and I'm out. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers, mate. Righto, everyone. Well, I'm going to have to call it quits, but I hopefully you all enjoyed having the Burning Duck visit us and give us some really sort of insightful sort of information. That's, like I said, I didn't fill him full of thoughts and ideas prior to the live stream. So he came here with a clear mind to just say what was on his mind. Obviously, I told him that we're going through some hard times at the moment, but I didn't say anything more than that. So what he was saying was as pure as it can be from someone that's obviously been through their fair share of rug stuff themselves and has a vast experience. But yes, they offered their support to us to, which is wonderful, where I've got a developer who I can talk to ask questions, and, he's talking to me now, asking me questions about like working out things for NFTs and things like that. So there's obviously to do that, I've got to, make sure that it's as good as it can be. Otherwise I just won't do it. But I'm sure that you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. So, but thank you everyone for joining up. I'm not going to do a roll call or anything like that because it's been a long live stream and I need to get this room back to the people that need to go Betty by. So thank you very much to everyone for watching and participating in the conversation. So take care. I'll see you next time round. Love yous all. Take care. See ya.